So now we are ready to do the actual taste testing. The procedures for this have been posted up on the website and the course information. Basically, the way it works is that the students have randomly selected a sample of salsa to bring into the classroom to do the tasting test. So what we'll have is the students will have then be asked to get a bowl. So one of these plain white identical styrofoam bowls. So they get this bowl, they'll take their salsa sample that they brought, and they will pour about 4 to 6 ounces of the salsa into the bowl, just enough so that we can do the taste sampling. Then what they will do is put the container to the side so no one sees what it is. Then they will take a 3x5 index card. On the index card they'll write their name, they'll write what's the brand name of the salsa, what's the strength, whether it's mild or medium, what's the size, whether it's a 12-ounce container or 16-ounce container. They'll write down the price, the normal price that it would sell for. They'll indicate where in the store did they find it. Did this come from the deli section? Did this come from the chips display? Is this from the ethnic foods aisle? Where did they happen to find it? And then they'll write down the name of the store that it came from. Then, in the box here, I have an assortment of ballots. And these ballots rate from 1 to 5. 1 would be terrible, 2 is fair, 3 is average, 4 is good, and 5 is delicious. So then what the student will do is count out 15 of these ballots, use a paper clip, attach that, and then put it here on the table along with the envelope that has the ballots, the card that has the information face down so no one can see it, and then the sample amount there. So what I've done here is we see set up this. So this is typically, and in the example that we'll be using for this class that was done in a previous class, is the students had 13 different samples that were brought into the classroom to do that. Now when the students put these up here, what I will do then is, as they are doing that, I will take the card and the salsa bowl together and I'll move it over to a different place on the table. I'll move this one over here, maybe to this place. I'll take this one and perhaps move it over here. Then I'll take this one, perhaps move it over to this area, take this one and move it over here, and so forth. I will move these around so that the place that it was originally put will be different than where it is. I'll leave the envelope and the ballots where they are, just in case there's some markings, or because they're all different colors, so that by doing this, then the students won't know precisely which sample is it that they had put up here. So once we have all these up here, and we have 13 samples, and in this case we have 13 samples that are put up here then, and everything is all set. Then what I would do is I will take a pen. So I will take a pen and I will go to the first sample and I will write number 1 on the card. Then I will write number 1 on the envelope. This now becomes sample number 1, and the card, without looking at it, I will put this to the side so that no one knows what it is. Then I will write number 2 on this card. I will write number 2 on this envelope. Now this becomes sample number 2. So I would do that going through all 13 samples so that they're all numbered. For number 6, I'll put a line under so we can tell that difference from that one from number 9. And of course from number 9, I'll put a number under that one so we can tell the difference between them. So once I've gone through and I've numbered all 13 of these, then I will take the cards and I will put the cards someplace, usually in my desk or something like that, so that no one knows which sample goes to which one. But we have the correspondence between the envelope number and the card number. So then we come to the point of doing the actual sampling. So for the actual sampling, what I will use is, these are Selena Mexican chips that are white corn, so they don't have any flavoring involved with them, which means that the flavor of the chips is not going to influence the flavor of the samples themselves. I've asked students to bring in something to freshen their mouths in between tastes and I also bring in some water, just in case. Some people forget, with some cups, so in case they want to freshen their mouths when they're doing that. So some of the rules that we follow when we're doing the tasting is, number 1 is no double dipping. So this means don't take a chip, put it in there, take a bite out of it, and then take that same chip and put it back in again. If you do that, break the chip and then do one, and then you can do the other so it doesn't have that. Students will come in, and then they can start in any order. So not everybody starting with number 1 and moving down. That way it makes it randomized so that the order and the sequencing is different each time for each one. So some of them may be the first time they've sampled it, or maybe the second one or the third one or something like that. So what the student would do is the student will come in with the chip, take a sample, taste it. If they need to, get another chip and taste it so they can taste the sample as many times as they think is necessary. Then they will get out one of the ballots from this particular sample, and then they will circle how do they rate the sample. 1 is terrible, 2 fair, 3 average, 4 good, 5 delicious. Then what they would do is they will take this ballot and they will put it in the corresponding envelope to show that this has been voted on and no one will see what's been voted before. So students will, and the participants will come and they will do as many samples or as few samples as they want. It's not required for everyone to sample everyone, just as long as we have a minimum of 10 samplings done, taste samples done of each one. So after we've done this and everybody basically figures that they're finished, then I will go around and I will take a look at each envelope and I will count how many ballots are left. Since we started with 15 ballots, so each student has counted off 15 ballots, that means there needs to be 5 or fewer ballots here because we need a minimum of sampling of 10 tastes per each one of the samples. So I'll look and see. So this one has, if this one has 5 left, that means there were 10 samples on that one. This one has 4 left, that means that 11 people sampled this one. This one has 3 left, that means that 12 people sampled this one. So I'll go through and count them and make sure that everyone has been sampled a minimum of 10 times, and to make sure about that. Now during the sampling, people are asked not to make any comments. So people shouldn't sample and say, oh man, that tastes so terrible. Did you try this one? Or they shouldn't say, man, I'm going to go back to this one. This is really, so that kind of talk, we need to not have that occur while we're doing this. So once all the samplings have been done, then what we'll do is we have checked and made sure that everyone has a minimum of 10 tastings. Then what will happen is students will volunteer and they'll come up and they'll take one of the envelopes with the samples inside, and then they will open up the envelope and take the ballots out, and then they'll write on the outside of the envelope how many 1s were scored for this one, how many 2s, how many 3s, how many 4s, how many 5s, so that we know that this one, sample number 8, so we know that sample number 8, these were the scores. Then, after all the sampling is done, we can go back to the cards and we can look up number 8 and see which sample it was that was on number 8. And then when we do that, we will use the taste tally form that's on the course in the module, and then fill in sample number 1, how many 1s did it get, how many 2s, and then sample number 2, how many of those did it get. And then we'll also take a look at then the cost sheet, and then we'll fill in the information. We'll fill in the information from the cards on that sheet. What was the brand? What was the size? What style was it? Did it come from the refrigerated area? Did it come from the chips aisle or something like that? And then what was the cost? So that we can figure out and rank them according to the cost. And then we use the ballots on this one to rank them according to the taste, so that then we can come up with a final determination as to which one is the best one. All right, so that's what we'll be doing, and that's what has been done, and the taste testing and the actual numbers then are supplied, will be supplied in the module, so that you can do the actual computation of which one would seem to be the best in terms of taste and which one seemed to be the best in terms of cost. All right, thank you.